Ukraine marks the day of the ground forces of the armed forces of Ukraine. The ground forces are the most numerous independent parts of the armed forces of Ukraine, the main combat power of the armed forces of Ukraine, meaning the defenders of us, the people. Good afternoon, this is Henry Keane in UATV English here for you, as usual, breaking hard truth in easy terms for the whole free world directly from Ukraine. Modern Ukrainian ground forces comprise nearly 600,000 soldiers across all branches and are armed with most modern weapons and military equipment, which are soldiers mastered at the highest professional level. The ground forces play a key role in fighting against the Russian occupiers. It is with their efforts and lives that every city, community, village and every meter of Ukrainian land is fought back.
For the second year in a row, we celebrate this day in the conditions of a great war, protecting the country from the Russian enemy invasion. You are the reliable basis of the Ukrainian army, a strong shield and a sharp spear that mercilessly destroys the enemy. You know the price of every piece of Ukrainian land. Your indomitable will and courage are the pride of our state. Thank you to every soldier who defends the country as part of the ground forces of the armed forces of Ukraine, protecting their native home and the future of our children. Valery Zaluzhny, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, on Facebook.
The native land gives the force to our ground forces to keep the defense up and continue the counter-offensive. As the ground forces rely on their native land, that helps them on the battleground. We rely on your ground forces, always. God bless you guys. Come back home with a victory, because you are Ukraine. The President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, is on a working visit to the United States. This is all about the obvious. The President of Ukraine arrived in the United States to personally discuss the situation in Ukraine and further U.S. support for our fight against the Russian aggression with the American political and military leadership. Ukraine expects that the arguments presented by Volodymyr Zelenskyy to American partners will be considered when adopting a positive decision on the continuation of assistance to Ukraine. The President's meeting will focus on the obvious, ensuring unity among the United States, Europe and the world in supporting Ukraine's defense against Russian terror and strengthening the international order based on rules and respect for the sovereignty of each nation. The key topics for discussions are same obvious: the continuation of defense cooperation between Ukraine and the United States, in particular specific joint projects on the production of weapons and air defense systems, as well as coordination of the efforts between our countries in the coming year.
Right now, amid fierce battles, our soldiers are holding position on the front and preparing for further actions. We haven't let Russia score any victories this year. Yes, Putin tries to create new problems, but our tactic isn't just about waiting for what Russia will do, not just about adapting to the problems Putin creates. It's about effectively solving problems. That's the key to victory. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President of Ukraine, in the speech at the National Defense University of the United States.
White House in the statement announced that, I quote, President Biden has invited President Volodymyr Zelenskyy of Ukraine to the White House for a meeting on Tuesday, December 12th, to underscore the United States' unshakable commitment to supporting the people of Ukraine as they defend themselves against Russia's brutal invasion. Hard truth in obvious, easy terms here is the current global security situation is also obvious for all of the free world. There is no time for hesitation. Washington is able to approve a new package of assistance to Ukraine and demonstrate again the obvious. It is not the defense of Ukraine that is hopeless, no, but Russian aggression that is simply doomed. Ukraine has proven its resilience and will many times through this difficult 2 years in the most difficult, sometimes hopeless circumstances. So the reason for that is just as well obvious. Ukrainians are striving not just to withstand the war, but to win it. On December 11th, all leaders of Hungarian minority communities of Ukraine appealed to Charles Michel, the President of the European Council, and Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, with a request to support the opening of negotiations on Ukraine's accession to the EU. The signatories of the appeal are the leaders of the Hungarian national communities of Zakarpattia, official representatives of the Hungarian minority in Ukraine. They represent the position of the entire Hungarian community of our country, of Ukraine. Ukrainian Hungarians positively assessed the legislative reforms in the field of protection of the rights of national minorities in Ukraine, effectively depriving Budapest of one of the key arguments in favor of Hungary not supporting the start of negotiations on Ukraine's accession to the European Union.
We had a frank conversation with the Hungarian counterpart Peter Szijjártó in Brussels. I informed him of the recent change to the Ukrainian legislation on national minorities. We discussed in detail the issue of opening Ukraine's EU accession talks. I emphasized that the political decision on this matter is well reasoned and timely. Ukraine and Hungary share a common European future. We will continue our dialogue ahead of the European Council summit later this week. Dmytro Kuleba, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine.
Please let me remind you that earlier, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban threatened to block the decision of any assistance to Ukraine, as well as the start of the negotiations on Ukraine's accession to the EU. And it was somewhat disappointing, in particular the fact of the meeting of Orban with Putin in Beijing on October 17th, especially given that previous negotiations at the government level gave grounds for optimism. Betting on the Kremlin will not benefit Hungary in any way, rather just do the same as it did to Russia, isolated from the rest of the European community. According to the conclusions of the European Commission and the President of the European Council, Ukraine has succeeded in implementing the recommendations to open EU accession negotiations. I believe it is best for Budapest to take this position into account, rather blindly serving Moscow's interests. Ukraine counts on the support of its European integration aspirations by all countries of the European community and considers blackmail and threats from individual countries just unacceptable. The Hungarian community of Zakarpattia calls on official Budapest not to slow down Ukraine's European integration under the far-fetched pretext of protecting their rights. After all, Ukraine's accession to the EU is in the interest of all Ukrainian citizens, including representatives of the Hungarian community, of course. Well, the hard truth, in easy terms, is like the Hungarians living in Ukraine know better what Hungarians want for Ukraine than the Hungarian Prime Minister. It was Henry Keane on UATV English, hoping to give the hard truth in easy terms enough for you today. Please like, comment and subscribe. See you very soon. Thank you.